On November 1, 2025, the city of Hermosillo, Sonora, was alive with anticipation and color. Streets were lined with vibrant papel picado banners fluttering in the breeze, and the scent of marigolds filled the air. It was the Day of the Dead, a time when families come together to honor and remember loved ones who have passed away, transforming the city into a tapestry of memory and celebration. Families crowded into Waldo's supermarket, their arms full of marigolds, sugar skulls, and candles, essentials for the altars they would build at home. Laughter and conversation echoed through the aisles as children picked out their favorite treats and elders shared stories of ancestors. The atmosphere was festive, filled with the warmth of tradition and the promise of a meaningful evening. But at exactly 2 p.m., everything changed in an instant. A deafening explosion ripped through the supermarket, shattering windows and sending a shockwave that could be felt blocks away. The force of the blast was so powerful that it knocked people off their feet and sent debris flying through the air. The peaceful holiday atmosphere was instantly replaced by chaos and terror. Shoppers and passers-by scrambled for safety, some clutching their children, others searching desperately for loved ones. Screams and cries for help filled the air as confusion and panic spread through the crowd. Within moments, flames erupted from the heart of the building. Thick, black smoke billowed into the sky, visible from miles away. The fire spread rapidly, fueled by the materials inside the store, and soon the entire supermarket was engulfed in a raging inferno. Outside, the situation grew even more dire. Vehicles parked nearby caught fire, their gas tanks exploding one after another. The parking lot became a scene of devastation, with burning cars and secondary blasts adding to the chaos and making it nearly impossible for rescuers to reach those trapped inside. Firefighters and emergency responders rushed to the scene, battling the flames and searching for survivors. Inside, people were trapped behind shattered windows, their faces pressed against the glass as smoke filled the rooms. For many, escape was impossible, and the Day of Remembrance turned into a desperate fight for survival. The Day of the Dead, a holiday meant to honor the departed with joy and reverence, was now marked by tragedy and loss. Makeshift altars appeared outside the ruins, candles flickering in the wind as mourners gathered to grieve together, their faces etched with shock and sorrow. The explosion didn't just destroy a building, it shattered the heart of Hermosillo on its most sacred holiday. The community, once united in celebration, now stood together in mourning, struggling to comprehend the scale of the disaster that had unfolded in their midst. As the sun set over Hermosillo, the city's vibrant celebration was silenced. The streets, once filled with music and laughter, were now quiet, marked by grief and shock. The tragedy would leave a lasting scar, forever changing the way Hermosillo remembered the Day of the Dead. In the aftermath, chaos reigned. Sirens blared, glass shattered, and terrified cries filled the air. Emergency services arrived within minutes, but the size of the disaster was overwhelming. Firefighters battled the blaze, while police cleared crowds and ambulances rushed in. Paramedics set up makeshift treatment areas, treating burns, cuts, and smoke inhalation on the pavement. Families frantically searched for loved ones, calling hospitals and emergency numbers. News of the explosion spread rapidly, sending waves of panic through Hermosillo. The city's vibrant holiday spirit was replaced by a heavy, collective sorrow. As the fire was finally brought under control, the chaos and confusion of the moment slowly gave way to a devastating reality. The acrid smell of smoke lingered in the air, mixing with the sounds of sirens and the distant cries of those searching for loved ones. In the aftermath, the true cost of the tragedy began to emerge, far beyond the physical destruction of the supermarket itself. The community gathered in shock and disbelief, their faces etched with sorrow as they stared at the charred remains of a place that had once been a hub of daily life. For many, the supermarket was more than just a store. It was a familiar meeting point, a symbol of normalcy now reduced to ashes. Sonora's Attorney General confirmed the heartbreaking news. At least 23 people had lost their lives in the fire. Among the victims were both shoppers and employees, including several minors whose futures were tragically cut short. The announcement sent shockwaves through Hermosillo, as families and friends anxiously awaited word about their loved ones. Most of those who perished did not die from the initial explosion, but from the toxic smoke that quickly filled the building. The thick, suffocating fumes left little chance for escape, turning a routine shopping trip into a nightmare for so many. 11 others were rushed to local hospitals, suffering from severe burns and life-threatening injuries. Medical teams worked tirelessly through the night, fighting to save lives and comfort the wounded, while families waited anxiously for any news. As the hours passed, the names and faces of the victims began to emerge. What had started as a list of numbers soon became a collection of stories. Parents, children, friends, and neighbors, each one leaving behind a void in the hearts of those who loved them. Each loss sent fresh waves of grief through Hermosillo, uniting the city in mourning. Strangers embraced, offering comfort to one another as they tried to process the enormity of what had happened. The tragedy was deeply personal, touching every corner of the community. Streets that were once filled with laughter and daily routines now echoed with silence and sorrow, as families and friends came together to support one another. On a day meant for honoring life and celebrating loved ones, Hermosillo was left to mourn. The city's collective grief was visible in the flickering candlelight and the quiet prayers whispered at makeshift memorials, as everyone struggled to come to terms with the scale of the loss. With the fire out, attention turned to the cause. Governor Alfonso Durazo promised a thorough, transparent investigation. Early findings pointed to a tragic accident, not an attack. Investigators focused on a faulty electrical transformer inside the store as the likely trigger. The intense fire made forensic work dangerous and slow, but authorities vowed to uncover the truth. The investigation aimed to provide answers, accountability, and lessons for the future. Hermosillo demanded change to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. The nation responded swiftly to Hermosillo's tragedy. Governor Durazo was on the ground, promising support and a full investigation. He praised first responders and assured families they wouldn't face their grief alone. President Claudia Sheinbaum addressed the nation, offering federal resources and solidarity. She dispatched support teams to Hermosillo, including grief counselors and aid experts. The coordinated response from all levels of government showed unity in the face of loss. Leaders pledged transparency, action, and compassion for the victims. The country stood with Hermosillo, determined to help the city heal. Amid the chaos, Hermosillo's heroes emerged. Firefighters charged into the inferno, risking their lives to save others. Paramedics from Sonora's Red Cross set up triage, treating the injured with speed and compassion. Police secured the area, managed crowds, and supported distraught families. The response was a seamless collaboration under immense pressure. Governor Durazo praised the bravery and professionalism of all involved. These first responders were the city's lifeline, embodying courage and hope. Their actions brought light to Hermosillo's darkest day. The explosion cast a shadow over Dia de los Muertos in Hermosillo. Festive preparations halted as sirens replaced music and laughter. Authorities canceled all public celebrations, shifting the city's focus to mourning. Businesses closed, and the city's vibrant decorations became symbols of loss. Families gathered at home, adding photos of the victims to their altars. The Day of the Dead became a day of deep mourning and solidarity. The tragedy reminded everyone of life's fragility. Hermosillo paused, united in grief. The city's silence spoke volumes, transforming celebration into a communal vigil. Eyewitnesses recounted scenes of terror and confusion as the explosion suddenly rocked the supermarket, shattering the normalcy of an ordinary afternoon. Many described hearing a deafening blast, followed by a rush of heat and smoke that sent shoppers and employees scrambling for safety. Some people were thrown to the ground by the force of the explosion, while others instinctively rushed to help those who had fallen or were injured. The chaos was overwhelming, with alarms blaring and the air thick with panic and disbelief. As flames quickly spread through the aisles, some managed to escape through emergency exits, while others found themselves trapped by debris and thick smoke. The fear was palpable, with people desperately searching for loved ones and calling out for help. First responders arrived within minutes, guiding survivors to safety and tending to the injured. But the sense of shock lingered in the air. Dramatic images and videos captured by bystanders quickly circulated on social media and news outlets, bringing the scale of the devastation into sharp focus for the entire community. The footage showed shattered windows, billowing smoke, and crowds of people gathered outside, many in tears or embracing one another in relief or grief. In the aftermath, the Waldo supermarket chain issued a heartfelt statement, expressing deep sorrow for the tragedy and pledging full cooperation with investigators. Company representatives addressed the media, emphasizing their commitment to uncovering the cause of the explosion and ensuring the safety of all customers and staff. The company's official statement offered sincere condolences to the families of those affected, as well as support for employees who witnessed the traumatic event. Waldo's also announced plans to provide counseling services and financial assistance to victims and their loved ones, hoping to ease the burden during this difficult time. Their commitment to transparency and open communication was seen as crucial for maintaining public trust, ensuring accountability, and helping the community begin to heal. Regular updates were promised as the investigation unfolded. In the days that followed, the community gathered outside the closed supermarket, seeking comfort and answers. Many looked to both local officials and the corporation for reassurance, hoping for clarity about what had happened and what steps would be taken to prevent such a tragedy in the future. Understanding what went wrong was the first step toward recovery, and both investigators and community members were determined to uncover the truth, support one another, and begin the long process of healing together. In the days after the explosion, Hermosillo mourned together. The loss of 23 lives left a deep scar, especially during a holiday of remembrance. Yet the tragedy brought out the city's resilience and unity. Neighbors supported each other, and local organizations mobilized to help families. The disaster underscored the need for stricter safety standards in commercial buildings. Honoring the victims means demanding accountability and real change. Hermosillo's story is one of heartbreak, but also of hope and solidarity. From tragedy, the community will rebuild, stronger, safer, and united.